This is the ultimate Fortnite consumables tier list. Let's check if yours would be the same. First up, we have the gas canister, and it's an obvious F. So the gas canister can be found on the gas station, and you might see a problem here. Why would you choose a gas canister if you can get gas from the gas station? Someone can say that the gas station blew up. Okay, how often do you refill your car? Personally, I only do it for the memes. I never need to refill my car in a regular game. So for me, it's an F tier, useless, even more useless if you want to carry it with you. Next up, we have the fishing rod, and I put it on D tier. The fishing rod is more of a utility than a consumable. It has a use, you can fish with it and get different rewards. But there is a better tool for fishing, and it's the EMP Shield Breaker. It's generally not advised to stay still on the open field, and this utility item basically requires you to do it. Also, when you're fishing, most of the time you'll get some random stuff, for example small fry that is utterly useless, so I don't recommend it. Use EMP Shield Breaker to fish. D tier. Okay, next up we have the Medkit, and I put it on A tier. In chapter 5, medkits got buffed. The new animation and the new way that medkits work, which means that they will heal you over time, makes it a very solid item. It's still a great healing option. I think the best one if you're talking about health, but because there are so many ways to heal health, I don't want to put it on S tier. A tier, the best healing item. Okay, next up we have the meat, and I put the meat on C tier. So the meat is not useless, it's pretty useful, but it doesn't really heal up that much. There are also not a lot of animals that can drop it. I don't think it's a good item to carry around. Flopper is better. C tier. Next up, we have the shield fish, and I put it at B. It's a solid item. It gives you 30 shield, it's pretty much instant, and you can find it in coolers, which is a cool thing. But those 40 shield hurt my eyes very much when I drink 2 small shields and then eat 1 shield fish. It's a great item, highly recommended. Next up, we have all of the food items, and I put them at C tier. They're pretty good, you can find them in a lot of houses. It's an easy method of gaining shield and HP, but carrying them around is pretty much useless, and you would have to find lots and lots of them to actually heal a pretty significant chunk of health. C tier. Next up, we have the Flowberry, and I put it at A tier. The Flowberries are the new items of chapter 5, and I think they're a great addition to the healing loot pool. They used to grant you 10 shield, but they got buffed recently and now grant you 15 shield, and also the low gravity effect. You can stack up to 6 of them. They're a great side grade of the mini shield. A tier. Next up, we have the Big Potion. S tier. This is hands down the best shield item in the game. Now that it was buffed, it will grant you 50 shield over time. You can have 3 of them in a stack, which is 150 shield. That is great. You can find them pretty easily. It's not the most common item in the game, but it's still pretty common. And yeah, the best shield item in the game. S tier. Next up, we have the Flopper. It's a B tier for me. It's a great healing item, but the new medkits can also heal you pretty quickly if you don't have full HP to heal, and you will run out of them quicker than medkits. I think medkits are a better choice, but floppers are still really good. B tier. Next up, we have the Small Fry. That's an absolute D tier. Bottom of D tier. It doesn't heal you much. You shouldn't carry it around. If you carry it around, you don't know what you're doing. It's basically bandages, but you can find them in rivers and in coolers, which is not the most common place in the game. D tier. Next up, we have Firefly Jar, and this thing is an F tier. In no build, why would you ever have it? Unlike healing items that can be used on the spot, this thing you have to carry it around, and its use is useless. Why would you ever do that? Absolute F tier. Next up, we have small shields, and I think they're A tier. I want to put them at S tier, but Flowberries are very similar to them, and I couldn't put them at S as well, so both of those items are on A tier. It's a great item. It can heal you very quickly, of course only to 50 shields, but sometimes that's more than enough. You can store 6 of them. Great item. A tier. Next up, we have the Grappler, and I put it at S tier. This Grappler is actually a replacement for the Icy Grappler that was vaulted some time ago, and it will probably be vaulted once the Ice Grappler will be unvaulted, but currently it's one of the best mobility items, allowing you to quickly rotate from the unfavorable position. In zero build, that's a huge value, and you can get a lots and lots of value from it. 10 shots, it's a very cool item. S tier. Next up we have the presents, and I put them at C tier. They could be S tier, but there is one catch. Presents don't give your guns attachments, so you get a purple gun with no attachments. And I think that a green gun with a good attachment is much better than a purple gun with none of them, at least for some weapons. So if you don't have a mod bench close to you, it's pretty useless, but it can give you some cover, and it's an item that you will use on a spot, but could be much better. C tier. Next up we have bandages, and I put them close to the small fry. They're pretty much useless. If you find them and you have very low HP, you can use them, but you would not like to carry them around. They still heal you, so it's pretty good, but looking at other items, I cannot put them higher. D tier. Next up we have the EMP Shield Breaker, and I think that's a B tier item. It has some pretty cool uses. It's more of a utility, but it can also deal damage. It deals around 70 damage only to shields. It's very useful to do other things with. For example, you can fish with it, and I think that's a much more superior way to go fishing than using the fishing rod. You can just throw it at the fish spawner and all of the fish from it would be dead, and you can just collect them. Great fishing item, not the best in combat, but it can be very useful. B tier. Next up we have the Porta Bunker, and I think that's an A tier item. The Porta Bunker is a zero build exclusive item, and it works in zero build very well. It's basically the only way to get cover on the go, so I think it's a great item. It's not as good as Porta Fort or Porta Fortress, but still good. You can carry 4 of them. A tier item. And last but not least, we have the Shockwave Grenade, and I put it at S tier. The Shockwaves are next to the Grappler, 2 best mobility items, and mobility in zero build is key. Of course you have the Grapple Blade, but it's more of a weapon than an item, so I didn't put it here. You can have up to 6 of them, they launch you very far, you can use them to break buildings and attack people. Great item in zero build. S tier. So that's my ultimate items tier list in Fortnite Chapter 5. Let me know down below if your tier list would look like a bit differently. If you liked this video and you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I have the tier list for weapons coming up next, but I'm waiting for Epic to add them to creative mode so it will be easier to get footage. So that's it. Bye!